Welcome to Camp Chaos, where we celebrate the wild ride of modern womanhood.
Join us as we dish on motherhood, life's ups and downs, and all things pop culture that we know you want to talk about.
With special guests and expert insights, we're here to empower you through the chaos of everyday life.
Consider this your ultimate escape from the hustle and bustle. And as always, parental guidance suggested.
Camp is now in session.
Hello, and welcome back to Camp Chaos. Today, we are talking about the roles of fathers and how fatherhood
so listen up, daddies.
has changed and is continuing to evolve and what it looks like in our homes.
Well, I was going to say what it looks like from our perspective because we are not dads.
Right. Yeah, from our perspective in our homes and maybe what we experienced when we were younger. But I feel like...
And what we expect.
I feel like this is such an interesting conversation because I really think it has changed so much. Obviously, like, you know, when we were younger, I feel like it was just very much the norm that the dads go to work. They were not like that heavily involved in our lives. And I always remember, I don't know, that maybe that's not the right term, but
sorry, Mike.
No, I was going to say, I always remember people thinking that like my dad was such like a crazy anomaly because he was so heavily involved in our lives while he worked at a big finance job. But he like never missed a dance practice. He was at every dance competition.
He was still involved. Yeah.
He was still very involved. I don't know that that's the norm.
An involved father. Yeah.
But I feel like now it's so different. I'm like, there's no option for you to not be involved.
There's no option. So yes, let's talk daddy and what we expect for you to do, daddy. I feel like when I was growing up, my dad had me at 53. So I was his 9th kid. So I feel like for him, it was like, oh yeah, like you will just go and like be with the rest of the children. And like, what do you do different by your 9th child? Obviously nothing. But he worked from like, he was out of town working. Like he was developing hotels and like he was in Hawaii for as long as I could remember. I don't know, like the most important years of my life, probably from like 4 or 5 to like up to me being a teenager. And my mom was working too, like she was a photographer, but did it out of her house. So I had au pairs when I was little. We had somebody that lived with us, either from Sweden or Switzerland, which now I'm like looking back. Could you ever imagine moving in some hot Swedish 20-year-old
Absolutely
with
not.
your husband? I'm like, Mom, what were you thinking? Nothing happened. But like what these au pairs, wonderful people, but like not for me. I'd rather have my husband involved. But my parents both worked and we were raised by an au pair and my mom and my dad, who were both wonderful parents. But my dad would be gone from Monday through Friday, come back and like be with us on the weekends. Now my husband like will travel for work, but like if you are traveling for work, you are hearing about it all day, every day.
100%.
Like where are you? When are you coming back?
Here's what your children have done today.
Yes.
Here is what I have dealt with today.
100%. Like I think the roles have just shifted, and I don't know if it's more about like I think there's so many different factors in this, and that we just expect more. I do still though, like my heart of heart, like I do think that the mom should be home raising her children.
Yeah.
I do think that like a mom should raise your children and have the father involved, but like I do believe in gender roles.
That's fiery.
You don't?
No, I mean, I do. I don't know. I believe, yes, like I take on obviously majority of the load, but I don't feel that it's like I should be the only responsible
it's not like
one.
a 90-10 split.
No, I feel like Drew is absolutely like he contributed to making these children. He is having these
You're
children.
a responsible party.
You are responsible. And he, you know, is responsible in a different way. He works and provides for our home, which I so appreciate. But I'm also like that and because I feel, you know, like I work and then I'm also like my job doesn't stop. Like your job ends at, you know, 5-6 p.m. Like that means you clock in for this job because my job starts when the kids wake up at 7 a.m. and it doesn't end until they go to sleep. I also think that so much of fatherhood and the roles of fathers changed in COVID. And I think it's because, you know, everybody working from home, a lot of people didn't necessarily go back to the office the same way that they used to. Like Drew used to leave our house at 6:45 every day, was in the office by 7:30 and like home by 7. If that were the case now,
totally
it
different.
Probably would be more like what you're saying, where your husband isn't home at all. Like that, then it is all on you. But now he works from home. He's like hybrid, works from home part of the time, goes into the office sometimes if he has meetings, but like I would say 80% during the school week, like he is helping me get the kids out. He is taking one of the kids. He is making their breakfast.
You're
at
helping.
least while
You're
I'm
helping for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that at the end of the day, dads go to work so they could rest. It is harder to be home with the kids.
1,000%.
So You hang out around the house long enough, you're going to be given something to do. You are not here to be luxury.
That's why Drew closes the door to his office because
Daddy's
he's
working.
like, because the kids will walk in there. Or if I see you like sitting down having
What do you mean? You know,
rest.
when Gus was working from the house, it drove us crazy. My pediatrician's like, get an office outside of the house. This is going to, because it was like, I see that you're not fully
what are you
busy.
doing over there?
You're not fully
looking
busy.
at your phone.
100%.
I know
You're
how this
scrolling,
goes.
you're doing something. So like then get involved, because like right now I'm drowning. I do think though, like talking about gender roles and like, yes, they need to be involved and they should be like absolutely a party in parenting. But I do think that we've changed like as a society of like glorifying, we've taken away the glory of like that a woman should be raising her kids. And it's like, no, you should be working and you should be doing this and you need to do all this and all this well. But I do think it's a complete luxury and should be glorified to have a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. And I think to be able to do that is
Such a
best gift in the world.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about like that. I don't really love the term stay at home mom. Like, oh, so you're not working. It's like, I actually work harder than you
100%.
and you. I work all day long. Don't even sit down on the couch.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky if I get a meal in and I have to eat right now. It's like, I don't love that term. It makes you sound like a lazy person.
100%.
And that's just simply not the case. But I think there has been a shift for sure, but I think being a stay-at-home mom is similar to any other job, that you are still trying to be the best at your job.
Yeah.
So like when you're a stay-at-home mom, there are still things that you are working on every day. You are working on schedules every day.
You
are
the most
working
responsibility.
But like even like, you know, you're trying to
but then
like climb up in a ladder.
The husbands and the dads, I feel like they think, oh, you know, you get to stay home with the kids. Like they can think that.
Wait, is that an argument in your house?
Yes. It was in the beginning, and then it was like, oh, wait a second, I got to get out of here. Like my husband's like, oh, you got to get out. I got to get out of here because this is too hard.
Yeah.
This is wild.
I feel like it is still like, even for us, can be a point of like, contention and argument. And it only comes up like if we're just like so at each other's necks and like we're in an argument and it's like, well, I'm going to work today. And I'm like, excuse me, what? And he knows that absolutely sends me.
Yeah.
If you like belittle what I do as a mom, if anybody were like that is grounds for removal from
You'll be removed from said family.
Removed from my life. Like
you're out of the Christmas card.
I find it so rude.
Degrading
to like say that just because you actually bring in a paycheck that your job is more important than mine. I always say, I'm like, you would need no paycheck. Like you don't even know what the kids, you don't know. Are they signed up for this class? Is that thing paid?
You've never been trained.
Is this here?
Yeah.
Did you get their school pictures
make it through
done?
orientation, Drew? Yeah, Daddy, you wouldn't make it through orientation. You're fired on day one.
But I think there is certainly like in this day and age, there is, I'm trying to find like the right word to say. There is something that is applauded for fathers who are more involved, where I feel like before that was not really a thing.
Tay, now if in our friend group, or if like, I don't care what friend group, just in the community, if there's a father that's not involved, you stand out like a sore thumb.
Beyond, like if you're
like, we all know the dads that are not involved.
Like haven't changed a diaper.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get like a pat on your back for that. It's kind of like, ugh.
What do you mean? Zane, what's my husband's name? Gus took Zoe to dance and everybody's like, oh my gosh. It's like, wait. I was volunteering at his school and Zoe wanted to go like, you know how much Zoe loves dance.
Sitting down on my butt watching the Housewives.
Like, yeah. And quite frankly, he probably had his AirPods on and was on a call at the same time. Like, but it's like so applauded, like, oh, a dad's involved. Like now I feel like it's a little bit different where they are involved and they should be involved.
They absolutely should be involved.
And I think also like my husband's older, like he now notices like this is the most important part of his day and the best part. Like your job sucks. Being with my kids is the best part of your life. You're welcome. You're welcome for your kid.
The holiday season is here and we are all looking for ways to spend and stress less. And you guys, I have found the way to do that. I recently used HelloFresh and let me tell you, my mind was absolutely blown. So first of all, it was all delivered to my door. It was all pre-portioned ingredients. I told Drew that I was going to start start cooking dinner at 5 o'clock and he didn't believe me that we would be ready to eat by 5:30. I was ready to eat by 5:25. I also cooked so that it was enough for 4 portions. So Drew and I were able to eat dinner, and then we had enough for leftovers for lunch the next day. And the meal was absolutely amazing. It tasted so fresh. Drew was truly blown away. We are now HelloFresh people.
This is honestly the perfect time of year to doing any sort of meal kit. And really, I think as moms, we're all looking for ways to spend and stress less. So why not just have your dinner sent to your door? Everything's in there and it's so much less than takeout. I don't know about you guys, but I spend so much on takeout every week that this is one thing I am investing in for the holiday season. Delicious meals, straight and fresh to your door.
And listen, we have an insane deal for you. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/freecampchaos. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/freecampchaos. Okay, so like, what are your expectations of Gus as a father daily? Like, what is his daily duties that you think he should be doing as a dad?
Well, it's different because he does travel for work, but like when you are here, you're involved. Like every morning, I will say Gus does go on a walk by himself and he starts making his calls because he works in Central Time Zone. Like he has to start his day earlier. So I give him that. But then like during breakfast, like when you come home and the kids are having breakfast, like you are helping me, either that's getting Zane ready for school. Zane also has a little bit too much control in our house where like he is like, mommy is going to take me to school. Like you don't get to take me to school. So I will say I do a lot of that. But then dinner time, you have to be home for dinner. Like maybe once a month will he have a business dinner? And I'm like, okay, but if you're in town, you are with us for dinner and he's helping during bath. I put both of the kids to sleep, but like you are having playtime with the kids. I don't know, maybe not that much. Drew's a lot tougher.
Wait, you put both the kids to sleep?
I do. He plays with Zane while I put Zoe to bed and then I do Zoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's because the kids like only want you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm mommy. Wouldn't you want me over Gus?
Yes. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because you know what? When Palmer was born, I think I mentioned this before that they only wanted me and then Drew. And I was like, this isn't happening. We like split every other day. So we still do that. We split.
You take one, he takes the other.
Every other day. We go back and forth between the kids. And obviously, okay, so for Drew, his daily duties in the morning.
Wait a second. Wait, I have always said that we need to send our husbands and dads to Taylor's camp. Because you've trained him.
Yes. Well, no. I mean, he is very, he is very involved. And I think majority of the time he does it willingly. But like in the morning, he will like, even recently he's been like, oh, I made Miller's lunch. I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice. Because I feel like that's something that's my responsibility. Like I take him to school. He has his lunch made. He always cooks the kids breakfast, like cutting up their fruit, pancakes, bacon, whatever. He'll make them breakfast in the morning and he will try to like help me get them out. Also, we both rotate like getting them ready in the morning. So Miller is the handful in the morning. So he's very involved. So like Miller has to be changing in his uniform, brush his teeth and brush his hair. And like brushing the hair is like such an ordeal. So we will do it every other day of like, you get Miller, I'm gonna get Palmer out, and then I'll finish breakfast or whatever. So we always do vice versa.
You guys literally
tag team. Yeah. And then at lunch, like when I pick Miller up from school, it's if he's home, and he say like yesterday, like I got home with the 2 kids and he was eating lunch. He like covers up his lunch and he's like, all right, who do you want me to put down today? Because both the kids go down like within 20 minutes of each other. So he'll put one down. Then I'll stay up with whoever.
Drew is another mommy.
Oh, he's the best. Like when
don't tell people out loud how that he's the best.
Sorry. But when it comes to fatherhood,
somebody's gonna come take care from you.
Do not take. Well, you just take my kids. You be paying my bills.
Wait a second, Taylor. You cannot say how good your husband is.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
say that he's a schmuck.
No, he's horrible in a lot of other ways. I'm sure that I can share,
ladies.
But and then for like we always do dinner together. That's just kind of like a tag team thing. And he'll normally take Miller out to play outside in the backyard.
So you have
one
child.
Tired.
You have one child at a time.
Yeah, we do it like together. And then at night for like our bedtime routine, it's one of us one of us bathes the kids. The other one is getting like bottles and setting up the room.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Are you is this not normal?
Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, no, that's definitely not normal. I'm literally saying like, yeah, it's important to me that he has some playtime with his kids. And you're like, oh, no. Here are your mommy duties.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, Drew, I hope you're not watching this episode or talking to any other fathers.
He's probably not watching this episode.
So my level of involvement and your level of involvement are different. Polar opposites. Yes.
But I think
just be here, be a warm body.
But I think that's comes from my parents. Like my mom has always made it very clear. Like my mom worked up until she had Austin, but then made it very clear, like this is a 2-person effort. Just because I'm a stay-at-home mom now, these 4 kids are not just my responsibility. So like when my dad was home from work, my dad
in for work.
Never sat down on the couch or relaxed or cracked open a beer or anything like that. It was like, no, you're going to pick up the girls at dance. You sit at Pop Warner practice. Like, okay, then you can't do it.
Well,
you're
making
kids,
dinner.
You
have to.
100%.
Your mom can only be so many places. Yeah.
But I feel like that's the only way that Drew and I can function in our marriage is like I will resent him if I am doing everything and I'm so tired by the end of the day that and like that's why we always trade off with the kids because right now Palmer's a little easier to put it's like a bottle in bed.
Yeah,
Miller's like
true.
3 stories and singing songs and the whole thing. Because if I am having to do both and I look in our bedroom and he's sitting there watching football,
you flip out. But that's why you would not have gotten pregnant with number 3.
No,
so that
I would
this
not
explains
have.
so much.
Yes, like he really is. But I think it's because I learned from my parents like that this is
and you're
the
setting a really good
that
example
I want to have
for Palmer and for Miller.
And for Miller, like I just think that there's no reason why he shouldn't. Like I understand if he has work or has to be somewhere,
Gus
but like
get
if
his ass handed to him when he comes home. And now you wonder.
I'm going to be kicked out of this house pretty soon.
Yeah. Taylor, you are no longer invited here. Please leave. But now you wonder why I'm like, okay, Gus needs to have the surgery on his arm. And like, this is why I'm like, you need to leave because you said, well, how much help is he now? And I'm not saying that like you're that much help, but like, at least you're here to like take out the trash. Now you're not going to be able to take out the trash even.
You can
like,
do it with one arm.
You could do it with, I'm like, you go fill up my car with gas. Like there's things that I have him do, but like if it was Drew having this, you would be screwed.
Yeah,
you would be screwed.
My mom would have to come live with me.
Yes.
I mean, maybe I could manage.
No, you would not. No, you would not. I'm going to call Drew and be like,
do I sound like a lazy mom now?
No, you sound like you have a dream come true. And this is why you're pregnant with number 3. But I'm going to say with us having this with Gus in his arm, I want Drew to give you a taste of my experience. We're going to do an experiment.
No.
And seeing what it's like to have a regular husband or a regular father. I don't know. Maybe we should do a poll of seeing like what is normal of like the level of involvement.
Well,
people probably have it from all over the spectrum.
Look at our friend group.
Yeah.
Our friends are all like their husbands are all over the spectrum. I just know that for me, like in order for us to keep a good marriage.
Wait, I know for me too. Doesn't mean that I'm going to get it. So, okay, let's ask that question. So how do you get it? So what is the ultimatum if Drew's like, oh, I'm not getting on board with this? Was this in your vows? Do you have a prenup?
No, we don't have a prenup and it wasn't in our vows, but I think it's
Is there a contract?
No, but I'm thinking that maybe I should have him like fingerprint and sign all
before
these
this
things.
episode comes out.
Yeah, before it comes out. Yeah. I'm going to remind me to do that.
And don't ever tell anyone else about this.
But no, I think it's just like when this is going to get into a different conversation. No, I feel like when we argue, what could start as something small will turn into like a foundational issue for us, and we will break it down and like talk about like
what the core.
What does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? And like how are we going to come to common ground? Because I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, and this stems like you not wanting to bathe the kids for me turns into like you didn't want these kids, we had babies together, like it becomes something really serious where
really serious.
Yes. Not that we've ever had that argument, but I think it's like our arguments over small things have caused us to talk about really big foundational issues that have just shaped the way our relationship is. I also think
is this through therapy?
No, we don't go to therapy.
Oh, you don't need to.
We just talk it out. And we actually need to work on how we argue because sometimes it's not very good. Like when we communicate.
Sounds great. I'd love to argue with Drew.
But I also think it has to do with like what he sees in my dad. Like my dad is
really
you
good
see
example.
My dad.
Yes.
My dad
what do
is
you
still
mean?
with the kids at classes, comes over like hi, what can I get you from Costco? Dropping off groceries, leaving them on my front doorstep. Like
You're
he
serious?
is still, all the time. He's still so like that I think Drew
wants to emulate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's too.
I want my husband to emulate your dad
I
too.
think Gus wants to be friends with him.
He's like, I want to be friends with Mike. No, you just need to be like Mike.
Yeah. So I think it's twofold there. I think it's one, like we have really talked about big issues in our relationship. And I think he looks up to my dad so much and has like a living example of
a good
what
father
I
example.
was raised in.
A good husband, good
and
father.
kind of what I expect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm looking at mine of like, okay, well, I was raised where my dad was gone Monday through Friday. And it's like what you get of him is like, you're lucky. So maybe that's like, it goes to your childhood of what you expect.
Yeah. I think maybe.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh my God, that got dark.
It got very dark very fast. But at the end of the day, I do think that, a woman, it's 50-50, don't get me wrong. But like the woman, I think in front of other people, you let your husband look like he's got it all under wraps and like that he's the controller of the family and he's the leader. But like at the end of the day, we know that the woman is the one that inside the house, like a woman is deciding what goes on.
1000%. I mean, I think it's very clear. I
you
run
get
the
what you
household.
expect.
I run the kids, you know. But I think there is something.
You get what you allow, like you, whatever that is true.
That is true. I think there is something to say, like, obviously we take on the majority of the role of taking care of the kids. But I do think even for Gus, like, even though maybe he doesn't help as much as Drew does, like he is still a really involved dad. And I think it's something that we're seeing more in this age is like to see dads involved is not only the greatest gift for you as a mom, but it is the greatest thing for your kids. Like for them to expect that their dad is going to be at things and that their dad is at sporting things. Like Gus is at soccer and Gus does all these things. It is the best thing that you can do for your kids. That's why I'm always sending Drew those little Instagram memes that are like, dads need to hug their sons. Like you have no idea.
Can you send them to me so I can forward them on?
Yes.
Yeah, include me in that.
I will.
Add me in that.
Yeah, all those things. I think it's the greatest gift. And now that times are changing and these roles are evolving, I think it's really, really cool to see involved dads.
We'll have the dads on the podcast soon.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I'm scared.
Yeah, you should be. Now I'd be like, listen, Drew, you're making everyone look bad over here. All right, guys, thanks for joining us for another episode. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Camp Chaos. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Connect with us on social media at Camp Chaos Podcast. Until next time, campers.